In the quiet town of Fox Hollow, nestled deep within the dense woods, the wind howled like a warning. The nights were long, and the moon seemed to cast a shadow over the sleepy streets. It was in this town that a story, wrapped in mystery and dread, began to unfold. A young woman named Emily had recently moved to Fox Hollow, eager for a fresh start. She had left behind the city's chaos, its noise, and its endless hustle. The town seemed perfect, the kind of place where everyone knew your name, where time moved slowly, and you could hear the birds sing every morning. Emily settled into a cozy little cottage at the edge of the woods, surrounded by towering trees that whispered with the wind. She often took long walks through the forest, but no matter how serene the setting appeared, something felt off. There was a constant sense that someone was watching her, though she could never shake the feeling long enough to explain why. Her first few weeks were peaceful. That is, until the phone calls began. At first, it was subtle. A single ring at midnight, followed by silence on the other end. Emily would hang up, shaken but unsure of what to make of it. It didn't seem threatening, just strange. But the calls became more frequent, each night at exactly 12:03 a.m. At times, she could hear a faint breathing on the line. At other times, whispers that felt unnervingly close, as if someone was right behind her. Her gut twisted, telling her something was terribly wrong. Emily, feeling the weight of the town's silence pressing against her, decided to visit the local diner. She needed to talk to someone, anyone, about the calls. She sat down at the counter and ordered a coffee. That's when she met David. He was a local man, older, with deep-set eyes that seemed to look right through her. He listened intently to Emily's story, offering no comfort, but only a knowing stare, like he was familiar with the horror she was describing. The calls, they've happened before, he said slowly, almost too carefully, but not to just anyone, to the ones who are chosen. She was taken aback by his words. Chosen? For what? David leaned closer, his voice barely above a whisper. I think you should leave, Emily, before it's too late. But Emily, full of curiosity and defiance, stayed. The feeling of being watched grew more intense. She would catch glimpses of movement in her peripheral vision, shadows that disappeared the moment she turned her head. Her peaceful walks in the woods were becoming suffocating, as if something, or someone, was always just out of sight, waiting. One cold evening, a storm began to rage outside. The wind howled like a beast, and the rain fell in sheets, drumming against her windows. Emily, unable to sleep, sat up in bed, staring at the clock. It was 12:03 a.m. The phone rang. Her breath caught in her throat. Slowly, she reached for the receiver, her heart racing. This time, the voice on the other end was not quiet, nor was it distant. It was clear and terrifying. You're next. The line went dead. Emily felt an ice-cold shiver creep up her spine. That was the moment she realized the calls had been a warning. She wasn't just a target. She was part of something far darker than she had imagined. And now, the storm outside mirrored the storm inside her mind. There was no escape. Desperate, she ran out into the night, seeking safety anywhere she could. But the woods were never far behind. The rustling of leaves, the snap of twigs underfoot, the distant cry of something or someone following her, never letting her go. Emily never made it out of the woods that night. Weeks later, a search party would find her body. No signs of struggle, no blood. But her eyes, wide open, seemed frozen in terror. The town mourned, but the whispers only grew louder. People spoke of David's cryptic warnings, and some even claimed to hear his voice on the wind. But no one ever figured out the true nature of the calls, or why, after all these years, they had chosen Emily. And to this day, when the wind howls, through Fox Hollow at midnight, you might hear the faintest ring on the line, a whisper too soft to make out, and the eerie feeling that you're not alone.